bidud, she put it on in quarantine. And Rabbi Silberstein said that, you should put it on. But that's too late in the tefillin. You should put the tefillin on. It won't be with the whole geschmack, and it won't be with the rogalach, and whatever. But that's too late in the tefillin. Right? Then I got a phone call Erev Shabbos, right? From who did I get a phone call? From Rabbi Silberstein. Not from him, but he was standing right there. He's standing right there, and he was standing next to his wife, and his wife called. I don't know how many people could say that Rabbi Silberstein's wife called up. And he said that Rabbi Silberstein liked the Shaila, and he asked it to Chaim Kanievsky. And Chaim Kanievsky said, Taka, it's too late in the tefillin. The first chance that he gets to put on the tefillin, he has to jump at the chance to put on the tefillin. He has to run to put on the tefillin. And for Karet, it'll be a zeicher that, remember that, tefillin is, no matter what you put on tefillin, and no matter what the matzah is, that'll be, Maisa, yes, the Shalter Moshe Sternbach, and Taka, there was a miscommunication. And on Friday, I got the answer back from Moshe Sternbach, and he said, Taka, mitaf too late in the tefillin. You should put on the tefillin. Shan said it was mamish the beis din hagadol. There's no shaila, right? There's mamish no shaila, right? And Taka, and that's what we did this morning. We put the tefillin on, and Taka. Then I got a phone call from who? From Rav Moshe Sternbach. How many people could say that? It wasn't Rav Moshe Sternbach, it was his son. And he said, no, it was asked incorrectly. And Rav Moshe Sternbach said to push it off until after Tisha B'Av. He said, I can put the tefillin on in this month. He said, get already trained. He put on, we're not telling him, Rabbi said, but it's okay, he's in quarantine, he's never going to hear this. He thinks the beis din told him to put on the tefillin, right? But then, Maisa, I want to tell you a dvar chizik. Why he said? He said, it's a minig. And the minig was taka, not know you can, if a chalamoyed would fall out 30 days ahead of time, you don't put on the tefillin. No, so in a zam matziv, where it can't be in shul and it can't be with the rogalach. Without the rogalach, sateit nishta baisai. Without the rogalach, it can't be. I'm thinking about telling him that Rav Moshe Sternbach was chayzer after, and when he gets out, and then we're going to have a nachas tefillin the day after Tisha B'Av. Like Hayim divrei Yosei Tzaddik. But anyways, so the Maisa, we made today with rogalach. We had our own little rogalach, right? But and Taka, we put on tefillin for the first time in Bidud. I tell you, I heard last night his menayel called him and said a murdik vart. I'm gonna tell you the vart. It's a nice vart, and it's not just negaya the tefillin. It's negaya Taka. You guys to know this vart also, because a lot of us, we're coming into situations now of like a little like b'diavad, like not the. Usually this time we go on vacations and whatever, where people try to get out. But it's like it's a shtickle b'diavad dikizman. During this man. So when this man was going, so you don't feel as much as that because you have a schedule and whatever, you go to learn and you have a schedule of learning, but now you're coming into times when you feel like there's a certain feeling like you have to be doing something, you have to be getting out, and you have to this. Am I right? Or I won't say. That's how some people feel. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. So I'll say for me. So his Menayel said that he went to when Corona started, and COVID-19 started about 4 months ago, whatever. So there was he was there by Rav Shimon Galai. Shimon Galai was a Gavaldik Jew, a wonderful Jew, and he was there by Rav Shimon Galai, and there was a Kala that was there, that was an older single. She was getting married, but she was older, and Maisa, she was having a wedding that was planned, and this was I think it was even more. I think it was like Alamitis, she was like a Bas Yechida, Alamitis, maybe the only child. I don't know the whole story, but it was mamish. It was like a real big deal, and the father was a wealthy person, and this was like this was the chasana that they'd been planning and everything, and they had a chasana that was planned for mamish 700-800 people, and with all the friends and the chasana side and her side and the mishpacha and everything, and now it went down to 250. Those were the days where it was going down. It went down there, and then it went down to 100. Whoever remembers this is keeping going back and remembering, right? And going down from 100, it went down to 50. And then it went down to 10. And then it was almost even a suffix if they were going to be allowed to have a chasana. But she was having the chasana that night, and there was only allowed to be 10. And the chasana and kala were nechlol and the minyan. It went from 700 to 10. And she was there by Rav Shimon Galai, and she was mamish crying. She was looking forward to all this. And I think she had a shiloh, so she pushed it off, and maybe that's what she was asking Hashem, and she was mamish crying, and he said it was heartrending to hear. We're men, Rabbi say. So mainly, we think to ourselves, wow, all the money we save, and men, right? Men, right? And what's the difference, and whatever, men, Rabbi said. But it is heartrending. A bas yechida, and she waited such a long time to get married. She was like 30 years old, even more. And there was the only daughter, and it was a chasana that they prepared, and she was mamish crying. She was mamish crying. And so Rav Shimon Galai told her like this. Rav Shimon Galai told her, one of the brachas that we say at Sheva brachas. So one of the brachas we say is like this: Sameach tesamoch re'em ahuvim. Right? You should be sameach tesamoch re'em ahuvim. This wonderful couple. Ki samechacha yitzircha meganei mikeda. You should be as happy as who? As the first couple. As the first couple at their mikeda, yitzircha mikeda, at their chasana. You should be as happy as the first couple at their chasana. So he asked this kala, this weeping kala. He asked her, Vifel mentioned how many people were at the chasana of Adam and Chava. How many people were at the chasana by Adam and Chava? So he said like this: there was Adam, there was Chava, and there was HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and then there was a lot of animals there. There's a lot of monkeys there. And not a lot. There's only probably one monkey and one monkette. Right? And there was mamish. There's all the, but there wasn't so many people there. There was Adam and Chava and Genuksha, and that was it. Yet every chassan and kala, la'olam void, how do we bench them? How do we bench every single chassan and kala that comes to simcha? Every chassan and kala, we always bench them. That you should be as happy as what? At the time when Adam and Chava got married. That incredible simcha. That's how much you should be happy. So Mela, we tell the chassan and kala to go back and think about that wedding. And what was that wedding? Sacha kol Adam and Chava. So what's the pshat? Because when you knock out all that extra stuff and everything, so then the ikar is that you have the chassan, you have the kala, and the genukshine. You could have the happiest moment of your life. And not only that, we bench you that you should be as happy as them when they were at their chassan, the chassan of Adam and Chava. So he told the bar mitzvah boy, which I liked a lot, told the bar mitzvah boy, so Mela, all this stuff, mitaragalach, and all this, and going around to all the kitas, you give out the raglach and you big shot in front of everybody, and you put on the tefillin, and everybody sees, and that, right? That's all the paparazzi, I think it's called. Right? That's all the extra stuff and the loud stuff, right? But the ikar is you and your tefillin. You waited 13 years to put on tefillin. Right now, it's just you and your tefillin. And not only that, adarabah, you're going to be remembering that when it's in 50 years from now and 80 years from now, you're going to tell your kids, I remember Taka grandchildren when I put on my tefillin the first time, it's just me and my tefillin. That's why by me, the mitzvah is tefillin, By me, there's no, tefillin by me is the mitzvah, because it was that kesher nafshi. I saw it in Ketavin today, because since we made such a big deal of it, this Jew thought that the Beis Din, Rav Chaim Kanievsky, and Moshe Sternbach was being mechayiv to put on tefillin today. And he put on the tefillin with azay kavanim, with azay geshmak, and taka, because of this. I was thinking it's a big chizik for all of us also. A lot of times we're going now into times when maybe would have been more geshmak, So whoever's married, you tell them, listen, if you're married, so then you have to be able to be mesameach with something which is just more basic, your wife. And just to be able to figure out how a person, and to think back, how would it be if I wasn't married, and how it wouldn't be geshmak if I, when I didn't have a kala and I didn't have a wife. So he has to be able to look back, or if sometimes with families it gets a little bit lebedik and not so geshmak on ben azmanim and zachin. If you're not able to go out, you're not able to take them out. So you have to think to yourself, no, ma'aser nachals, tachlis geret, all this other stuff is all paparazzi, it's all extra, but to have a family, right? You have to go in if you're going with that simcha and that attitude. And a bacher can have fun doing anything. So I'm gonna have to explain to a bacher, but person has to be able to figure out how to look at the matziv that he's in and to say, okay, imagine all this stuff. No, I'm not being those people are by say, those evil people that they say, oh, you don't have to, you can't go on vacation. Oh, that's Soros. That so-and-so is this and so-and-so is that. I'm not talking about that. That's a nazvar. I don't like that. That's not nice. I don't think that's nice. I mean, main pashut in our own matziv, to realize, okay, I have to look at my matziv and see what's the simcha of this matziv. Imagine not having this matziv and how much sympathy we have. That's how you have to look at it, right? So imagine this colleague, you tell her before she knew about have 700 people wedding, and that the only people in the world are her and her chassim, she would jump at the chance to get married to the chassim, right? The same thing. Imagine there was no such thing as ragalach, but you had the chance to put on tefillin and become one of the boys. Now you're one of the gang. Until now, you were one of the gang. You're just practicing to be one of the gang. But now you're one of the boys because you wear tefillin. So imagine you told them there's no such thing as ragel. You still want to be a vadra, because then I get to wear tefillin like the guys. It's the same thing. That's how you have to do it on Ben Esmanim, and Bez Hashem, then you'll be a happy person. Okay, I'm a neighbor. Okay, now let's start. Rabbi Yisai, Hatmana. We have a lot to get to today. I'm gonna go fast as if today is the last year. God, that obviously we have tomorrow, so that tomorrow that we could just hack. We could hack all of the good Hatmana raid and good Hatmana shilas, and Bez Hashem, because there's a lot here. And already, the oilam is causing some trouble. I'll just give you some things to think about. There's something called navel pastrami. You know what it is, right? Manage the belly button. You know what it is? It's like it comes a piece of pastrami in a plastic, like, it comes in like a plastic, vacuum packed, hermetically sealed plastic. And then you take her and you dunk her into the water. And then you sit there and it cooks. And it cooks, this plastic with the meat together just cooks, and the water is not in the pastrami bag. And so I guess that evenly distributes the heat and it makes the pastrami cook in a different type. And the Maisa, Rafal sat in my sukkah, Rafal Zecher Tzadik Levracha last sukkahs, and he told us last sukkahs, not this sukkahs, a year and a half ago, close to 2 years. Well, Corona's been going on for a very long time, but close to 2 years ago, Rafal sat in the sukkah, and Rafal told us that navel pastrami is also to do on Shabbos. You're not allowed to heat it up on Shabbos. There, people do this every single Shabbos. They keep it on the hot plate and just let it sit until Shabbos morning, and that's their hot meat for Shabbos. And Rafal sat in our sukkah and told us that this is also because it's a tmana, but the meat, the kli of the meat is the plastic, and the remetz, it's even also Erev Shabbos, Rabbi Michaeli. It's not just also on Shabbos, it's also Erev Shabbos, because the water becomes the remetz. Sorry? Right now I'm talking about, let's say, inside the challah, we'll get to. But right now we're talking about inside water. Stam, that's how they do it. The truth is I do it. Maybe I did do it. Covered Rafal, I do what Rafal said, even though we don't necessarily, I might not understand it. But I'll go upon him. Just take it. It's very simple. Badly. You take this thing, it's like in a plastic, hermetically sealed pastrami. You throw it into a pot of water. What? No, because he's saying the cover is the plastic. You have a plastic, that's the cover. It's like, wrapped in its klipa, right? That's the kli. Then afterward, you dunk it into a separate kli, a remetz bag. You dump it into coals. What are the coals? The water. How do I know that water could be coals? Maybe you'll say, who says that water could be coals? So the Shulchan Aruch in Siman Reish Nun Ches, there's one entire sif just about this. Are you allowed on Shabbos to take a baby bottle? You're allowed to take a baby bottle, and it's the baby wants his baby bottle, but it has to be a little bit hot, right? Or a little bit not cold at least. So you take a Nagel Wasser cup, you fill it up with water, and now it's klisheni, so you don't have real bishul issues and whatever, right? And you want to take the milk, and you want to dunk it into that. My mamish, meisim v'kol Shabbos, right? You take, this is your Nagel Wasser cup, and you take the baby bottle, and this is hot water that just came out, and you want to dunk it inside. Are you allowed to dunk it inside? And let's say it's covered on all sides, right? It's all covered on all sides. So the Shulchan Aruch, Mishbura learns the Shulchan Aruch and Reish Nun Ches says, das is atmana, and it's not allowed on Shabbos. It's not allowed on Shabbos. Sounds like on Erev Shabbos it is allowed because it's miskar v'hoylech, nice it's going down. But das is atmana. What do you mean das is atmana? Water could be a matmin. Water could be a matmin. The Chazon Ish wants to argue on everything I just said. He says food could be a matmin. He says I can't accept such a thing, that food could be a matmin. And he says I have a raya that food can't be a matmin, because the Gemara in Shabbos and Daf Mem, the Gemara says in Shabbos Daf Mem that Rabbi, you remember this Gemara by side, that Rabbi said, Toil b'kli sheni, what was Lashon when he talked about the shemen? I think this thing is moving. No, it's okay. Toil b'kli sheni, what was Lashon there? Take it with the kli sheni, put the shemen in the kli sheni, and put it into the hot water. In other words, he said over there to take oil and to take out water from the ambati that he was sitting in. So basically take a Nagel Wasser cup with water and put the oil in the cup inside of it. Klape bishul, the Gemara came out. Now you see that shemen doesn't have bishul, and you see that klisheni is not mavashal. Ayin sham, whatever the Gemara says over there. There's no oil cooking. In fact, you're taking oil in a vessel and dunking it into water. Atamana, if you're telling me that atamana. So the Chazon Ish says, you see from here, Mefurish Gemara, that water can't be, or food for that matter in general, food can't be used as a matmin agent. That's mefurish. Food can't be used as a matmin agent because you see he took out the oil and he dunked it into this cup of hot water. Food can't be used as a matmin agent. That's it. Well, said according to the Chazon Ish, maybe it's mutter. According to the Chazon Ish, the whole shaila of kishkin shalom maybe doesn't even start because food is not dumia deremetz. I read this whole entire halacha, zevel and gefes and melach and all these things. Dayenu, we understand that that's dumia deremetz, okay? But we can't understand that food is dumia deremetz. That's what the Chazon Ish says. He has a gemara mefresh. Lemaisa the mishabura is pashut mefresh, not like that. It's based on a taz. First, not like that. How do you answer the kasha of the Chazon Ish? It's not the worst kasha in the world. It doesn't say that you dunked it underneath and it was covered on all sides. It doesn't say it was dunked in all sides and it was covered on all sides. Maybe it was sticking out a little bit on the top. And if it was sticking out a little bit on the top, so then that's already not atmana. Oh, why can't the Chazon Ish say this? Why can't the Chazon Ish say this? Because the Chazon Ish tells you that can't be, because atmana mitzad echad is shmei atmana. So now, but you know the Mishnah Berurah doesn't know, like it's like a puzzle, everything's together. No? If you don't like this, you're a guy. It's like a shmaka, everything just fits together. A guy can't understand this, he can't like it, but a normal person, he can understand this and like it. But again, so the Chazon Ish came along and said, food is not a matmin agent. Food is not remetz. Food is not remetz, okay? But, so, and it's true, Rabbi Khan, it could be according to Chazon Ish, it doesn't start the whole shaila of the kishka, okay? It could be. Right? But the Mishnah Berurah holds not like that. The Mishnah Berurah holds Hatmana mitzad echad. Rabbi said, was the Mishnah Berurah holding about 6 different places? Hatmana mitzad echad is leishmei hatmana. Okay? And also the Mishnah Berurah holds that hatmana in oichel is yes shmei hatmana. It's obviously how you're going to have this baby bottle. It's going to come out an interesting thing. You go to Bnei Brak, they'll take the baby because they are machmir. Because they are machmir, therefore they're going to take the baby bottle and dunk it inside the hot water. Something has to give in this Gemara, right? There's a Gemara Mefureshes that says that they took a baby bottle, or I'll call it a baby bottle. They took a baby bottle and they put it inside a Nagelwasser cup. It's a Gemara Mefureshes, okay? Something has to give. So either you're going to learn from this Gemara that Atmana mitzad echad is taka lo yishmei atmana, and that's how the Mishnah Berurah is going to learn, and therefore it's sticking out a little bit. And therefore, if you come to the rest of the world, that's how you're going to do it on Shabbos. You're going to dunk the baby bottle in and let it stick out a little bit. Or if you're a machmir and you hold atmana mitzad echad is taka lo yishmei atmana. It's not, yesh shmei atmana. It's yes atmana. So then you're going to have to hold that food could never be a matmin, and if food could never be a matmin, then you could take the baby bottle and dunk it inside. But we rabbis say hold like the Mishnah Berurah, and therefore we have a shaila on navel pastrami. According to the Chazon Ish, one moment, uno momento. According to the Chazon Ish, there's no shaila on the navel pastrami because what's the matmin agent? The water, shkoyach, right? What's the matmin agent? The water is the matmin agent. So if the water is the matmin agent, so therefore, on such a thing, we're going to call that atmana. We're going to say that that's atmana be'oichel. So the Chazon Ish will say there's no problem, but we don't hold like the Chazon Ish. We don't hold like the Chazon Ish, and we know that we teach our, when you teach the talmidim and the talmidas, what do you have to teach them? You take a baby bottle, you put it inside the hot water, the kais, the Nagelwasser, and you tell them let it just sit there and let it float. Derech Agav, there's a Shiur Tzion that says that whole entire Isser, since it's a little bit of an interesting type of atmana, because the hot water is on its way down, it's getting colder, right? So it's not so clear that's called atmana b'davar moisef hevel at all. It's a, what? No. In Nagelwasser, I'm not talking about Nagelwasser, I'm talking about the case of the Mishnah Berurah. You take a cup of a Nagelwasser cup and you just put inside the baby bottle. So it's an interesting type of atmana. So Mishnah Berurah is an interesting type of a kula in the Shiur Tzion. He says, maybe it's only if you plan on making it hot. Now nobody wants the milk to be hot. You just want to be mafig the tzina. So maybe anyways, b'shas atchak, Mishnah Berurah says you can be mekel. It's not like the biggest crime. But anyways, that's what we teach them. We teach them just a moment. You teach them, take the Nagelwasser cup, take the baby bottle, and make sure it sticks out. No, so Rabbi wants to know, but does it have to stick? What if it's just the top part is sticking out? The top, like the nipple sticking out, but the milk doesn't go up to there? No. So that's probably also called that, because derech atmana is you have to cover the whole entire kli. So once anything is sticking out, it's probably enough. Okay, you have to know how much. If there's like a little dot sticking out, maybe not, Vaz? You're not trapping, okay. Vaz? It's only this special type of atmana that we're talking about now, this hot water which is on its way down. But Rabbi said, I jumped the gun. That Mitzvah Shem, we'll come back to Mitzvah Shem. But my point is now you have to dam the Shiloh of navel pastrami. If you live in Bnei Brak, so then those guys are fressing away on navel pastrami. Right? There's no problem over there because the water could be the remets. And Rafalk only meant because he was talking in Yerushalayim, Yer Kodesh. And David if you're in Yerushalayim, then navel pastrami becomes a very, very serious question. Sorry? Would it help to pierce the plastic? L'chayra, then the water becomes one with it. The water, sorry? Why is it in the plastic? Lo barurli. Rabbi Fak said no. Not, right? Because why are you keeping it in there? Unless you mamish, it's just like, because you don't want it to you don't want the bits of meat to spread around the water or something. So then for sure. But that's probably not what's the reason why they're doing it. Okay, Akapanim, we have to see. I'm just noted that you have to think about this Shaila. Something here is bothering me about it. I don't know. Maybe Adam Gadol Kamar. So you have to think about it. That's one. I'll give you homework today. Everything we'll do is we'll give homework. Okay. So you have to think about it. Rabbi Adler. Just because you're hungry, you have to think about it. Okay. That's number one. Boss? Whoever uses a challah puts water on the outside of the challah also. Right. He's such a troublemaker. You know what DJ just asked? DJ just asked like this. He says, wait a minute. There's a lot of chavra. What they do is they use a challah bag. They take the whole entire challah, they put her all inside a bag, wrap it up, throw her inside the challah, and then they put water all around the challah. All around the. Why do they put the water? Because they don't want the water. Because they don't want the plastic to stick to the wall. They're not doing it to be the revets, right? They're not doing it to evenly distribute the heat, right? They're doing it just to, okay, so then it's not atmana. You almost caused a big problem, so you bet you watch it, yeah? What? Okay, wait, slow, before Shaz, slow. Now, wait, slow. So I'm afraid to get off track, I'm sorry. I'm going to talk about it again. But now, let's go right for the jugular, okay? Let's go right for the jugular. Yeah. So first of all, let's talk about after what we saw yesterday. Are you allowed to use a crock pot on Shabbos? I just want you to know one thing. If you think that Rosh Shlomo Zalman about this shaila, everyone knows. The ganze Welt knows one thing. They know that Rosh Shlomo Zalman had a beautiful smile and that he asked for crock pots. Right? That's what everybody knows. Right? Shlomo Zalman was a great Jew, a beautiful smile, and he asked for crock pots. Right? So the Shlomo Zalman Orbach asked for crock pots. And this is Yadua. No, does everybody not know? What do I mean? Not only acid crack pots like, blech and this, that. He meant even the food is fully cooked and everything, no shaykhs. You can't use the machinery, the apparatus called the crock pot. What's the problem? So Shlomo Zalman is you should know, I heard from an Eidem, I can't remember now, I must have said last time, I heard from an Eidem that maybe a grandson, Traeger, maybe a grandson, somebody told me, Shlomo Zalman, when this child came out, they told him about the crock pot. And they told him, Dr. Taka, and they asked him, they described him, and they told him, and there's some said the way you're describing it's usher. I told them, okay, but then we have to mamish tell people, the Roy of America is if Kilu and Eretz Yisrael, they don't use, But maybe when the Shiloh came out 35 years ago, I said, okay, Roy of America uses this to make their challenge. Roy of America. So Shlomo Zalman said, no, it's like Bezoi, then I have to think about it, you have to bring it to me. And they say it sat on Rosh Shlomo Zalman's, like his living room table. This crock pot sat on Rosh Shlomo Zalman's table for months. What? Bedroom, months, months. So just know it's important to realize that, because whatever I'm going to say today to maybe be Bakel or whatever to argue on Shlomo Zalman, just realize that Shlomo Zalman, Mamish had sat on the table for months. And the truth is there's a lot of complicated shmuas here. So that's why I'd like to go straight for the svaras. They say like this. This shaila by Reuben, I think it was, right before Shlomo Zalman was nifter, he got a psak from Rav Shlomo Zalman, like the final psak. Rav Shlomo Zalman said that the crack pot is us. And that's the psak that he goes with in the Sefer HaShabbos. And that's a psak that's printed in Maria. I think it was even a letter from Rav Shlomo Zalman. It's not like a Ish Mipi fish. It's like Rav Shlomo Zalman actually is going to do a taka held of this. He held that crack pots are certainly an issue and a problem. He definitely held of this. It's not like, it's a weird shmua that he, and the Maisa, Rabbi Yadler, so he claims that Taka wrote a letter to Rosh Shlomo Zalman. He couldn't believe it because he had spoken out Rosh Shlomo Zalman before, and Rosh Shlomo Zalman did have svaras to be makel, and he wrote a whole letter, and he he said that he gave this letter to Shlomo Zalman, and then Taka, in the interim, Shlomo Zalman said he'd read the letter, and then in the interim, Shlomo Zalman went to the hospital, and now he's in Canadian. Now he's in Canadian, and that letter was on the table by Shlomo Zalman, and he was nifter, and we don't know what he saw about it. So, and Rabbi Yadler said that I know from the style, and Rav Shmir Shabbos Gilchus said I know from the style of Rav Shlomo Zalman, and Taka, he would have for sure been makabel these svaras. Most of them were his svaras, and okay, sure. So it's difficult. Rabbi said we know he actually said it's usher. And we know we have a letter that where a lot of his svaras and many of his talmidim saying that he would have said it's mutter, okay? And Rosh America uses it, but Rabbi Shlomo Zalman had it on the table for a very long time and didn't want to ask her, and he had no choice but to ask her, which means he really went through the shaila very strong. And then Rav Elyashiv. So what do you say about Rav Elyashiv? Rav Elyashiv has in Koibetz Tshuvas. He has a tshuva straight on it where he asks us. We'll say the svaras. I'm today going to be very great. I'm just going to say the svaras today. Because to start saying names, you'll see this is what I'm trying to explain to you, why I don't want to just say names and faces, because it's very complicated with the names. Rav Elyashiv has a tshuva in the Koibetz Tshuvas. Go look it up. That's his own pen, I suppose, right? Maybe he said it to somebody and they wrote it, but it's pretty authentic. And he answers. Okay, we'll see the svaras that he answers and whatever. Sorry? Gimel was maybe. And then Rav Elyashiv answers. Okay? Myself, I know a Jew that claims that he walked into Rav Elyashiv, brought the krakpa. After that tshuva was written, he brought the krakpa in, and sometimes you could say they didn't understand Rav Elyashiv. Because Rav Elyashiv is hard, not that Rav Elyashiv is hard to understand, but they didn't understand Rav Elyashiv. To blame him, blame them. But But here they brought in the crackpot. They didn't brought in the crackpot, and Rav Elyashiv said that thing, that's the thing you're talking about. So then for the Svardim of Ada, it's aser, but for the Ashkenazim, it's mutter, which we'll explain in a moment. You know already basically what I'm saying, right? Maisa, what I tell you. I mean, and then they even, the different people, not the Eidim that I heard, they wrote the exact same story in a sefer called Shabbos Kallus or something like that. So, Allah Shabbos, something like that. A sefer wrote that they brought in the crackpot. It's different Jews, not the Jews that I'm from. They wrote the exact same story. Rav Elyashiv brought it. They brought him a crackpot. Rav Elyashiv said that thing is mutter for Ashkenazim and also for Sfardim. That's it. That's it. So I don't know what to do with that. Which I do. I have Rav Elyashiv saying mutter. I have Rav Elyashiv saying also. I have Shlomo Zalman saying mutter. I have Rav Elyashiv. So let's just see the svaras. Let's see the svaras and just try and figure out what to do over here. I mean, what should we do over here? So if you want literature, the Mincha Shleim is in Beis Lamed Daled Hey, the Shulchan Shleim is in Reish Nun Zayin Ha'or Yud Gimel. But let's try on our own for a moment to just don the shaila. If we had to don the shaila of a crackpot, we know that Rav Moshe was Mekel. We know Rav Moshe was Mekel because his son, Rav Reuven Tzalzan, he says that Rav Moshe had it in his kitchen. So maybe you'll say Rav Moshe Taka, he never went into the kitchen or something, right? So I asked Rav Reuven. Remember? I asked him. And he said, listen, the Maisa, Rav Moshe knew what was going on. He knew there was a crackpot. He knew how a crackpot worked. And he had a crackpot. And that's it. It's mutter. Rav Moshe held it was mutter. Yeah. Okay. And we know that the Maisa, many people hold that they actually use it. So Kadosh Baruch Hu wouldn't make it that twice. So many people would make a mistake. I mean, it's not, So Mistama, there must be something to discuss. Okay. If we had to don the shaila on our own, right, we would don like this. There's a Ramah that the Ramah says the words very simply in Reish Nun Gimel. He says Hatmana mitzad echad is lo yishmei hatmana, and the only time it's hatmana is if it's mechusa lemala. If it's mechusa on top, that's the only time it's called hatmana. Simple Jews like myself that would read the Ramah would say crackpot mutter, nothing to discuss for the Ashkenazim, right? Because hatmana mitzad echad, we don't hold of. If you were a Svardi and you held of Atmana mitzad echad, or like the Chazon Ish, you live in Bnei Barak, and you hold Atmana mitzad echad, it's Shmei Atmana. So then this thing is Atmana mitzad echad, it's for sure Atmana mitzad echad, right? And whatever Svaras we saw yesterday, but this thing is Mamish Ryan inside the coals and whatever. Okay, so it's at least the Atmana mitzad echad. But if you hold like the Ashkenazim, so is it Mechusa Lamala? It's Megula Lamala. If it's Megula Lamala, it's Mutter. Where did the discussion even start then? And that's really what it seems to say in the Sefer Mishnah Berurah I mentioned yesterday. Mishnah Berurah very much sounds like this in a couple of places. Mishnah Berurah is in Shartzion Memhei, in Reish Nun Ches Beis, in Reish Nun Gimel Samach Tes, in Sivkat, in Reish Nun Tes, in the Klali Shiyeh. It just says if it's open on top, it's the Chai Adam is absolutely mefurish. Chayadim is first. I didn't write down where. I think it maybe base Samachay base. I didn't write down where. But the Chayadim is first. He says if the lid is megula, in other words, the lid is closed, obviously. But if it's on top, there's no hatmana on top. So then it's mutter according to the Sefer Chayadim, according to Mishabura, and that's what Rabbi Moshe holds. Where does the Shaila start? So the truth is, there's a graz. The graz. There's really from far back. There's a Rabbeinu Tam in the Sefer Yosher that he says maybe it's already atmana, not bekula. You don't need kula in order for it to be atmana. Maybe already roiv is atmana. Okay, then there's what to talk about, right? But it's a Sefer Rabbeinu Tam, a Sefer Yosher that's not brought in the normal Rishayim. You know, it's not something that it's not something that's in the. No, I don't know if that would be the reason. I'm not sure if that would be the reason why we'd have to be machner. Okay, the graz in the Kuntres Achron, Reish and Zayin. He also says such a tzad that maybe taka. It has to be, if it's Megula, it's got to be Megula Roiv. Okay, so now there's at least it's Sad, right? And the real fight started from the Pri Megadim. The Pri Megadim in one place, he writes Mefurish. The Pri Megadim says, Megula Lamala means Megula Lamala. You want the actual Makaimis. So there's a Pri Megadim is, where did I write this? The Graz was in Reish and Zayin in the Kuntres Achron and Beis. The Pri Megadim, I didn't write down where, but the Pri Megadim, in one place, the Pri Megadim says, no, if it's open on top, game over. It's not called atmana. But then there's a Pri Megadim in Reish and Tas, and he's mistopic. He says, when the Ramah said Lamala, what does Lamala mean? What does Lamala mean? So we just said Lamala means if it's open on top. If it's open on top, so then that's it. On top means the lid. He says, no, maybe Lamala means Lamala also Lamala on the walls. Like the walls, the top part of the walls. Like Lamala. If it's Megula, Lamala, he's not sure. He's mistopic, right? And that's so halacha l'maisa. What? So it sounds like you don't need roiv. It sounds like you need roiv. But like upon him. Come again? In other words, our crackpot would be a problem. Basically, our crackpot would be a problem because the walls go all the way up, and the only thing that's open is the top. Could be. Why not? Why do you have to have it like that? It's not. It's surrounded by remnants. Till yay high, right? Let's say, let's say this was the water and it didn't go all the way. What? So listen, again, the Shulchan Aruch holds atmana mitzad echad is atmana, right? So we're just being more makel than that. Now the question is, to what extent are we makel? Are we makel all the way that it's no, as long as it's got to be fully covered, right? Or no, we're not makel all the way. It doesn't have to be fully covered, right? But it has to be that it's basically fully covered. But once already the pot itself is basically fully covered, that's enough. That's something that people got the Maisa Abaisai. There's no shaila that the Velt does like the Mishabura and the Rai Adam, and that's like I said, Rabbi Moshe said, and that's what the Velt is saying. For that alone, is it enough to be marish the Velt, right? But on the other hand, Rosh Hashanah Zalman was such a big person. What's the pshat? Rosh Hashanah Zalman looked at this. They say Rosh Hashanah Zalman held it's Asr Mamish even b'diavad. Now this shmua is very difficult to understand because, like we explained many times, right? First of all. The Chayadim first says not like that. How could you say it would be also? The Chayadim first says if the lid is open, the lid is open, right? If the lid is uncovered, I don't mean uncovered. I mean if the lid is not, there's no exposed. In other words, if there's no hatmana on the lid, it's mefurish and the Chayadim, it's mutter. That's not even a discussion. Nobody argues on that, right? I have a bunch of cheshbainis here. The challenge if she's Michael Ben Drusai, so b'diavad we're makel. We said if the challenge is fully cooked, for sure we're b'diavad makel. Right? And if it's done for tomorrow, we're for sure makel. So and it's shaking because you're being said on the people that think that it's an interesting thing to say that it would be us even b'diavad. What bothered Rosh Hashanah Zalman as a film? What bothered him as a film? It's interesting. You look in the Shulchan Shleima, and he writes over there that Rosh Hashanah Zalman said, "Hatman mitzad echad, maybe we don't hold us." Hatman mitzad echad, we don't. But this thing, with the coals all around, with the fire all around, everybody's going to answer this. It's like, what's the pshat? It's interesting to that. Like Rosh Hashanah was saying, you look at, I'm giving you a little bit of the feel of Rosh Hashanah's Hergish or the Krakma. He said, what do you think? You think there was a possibility of taking food and covering it like gambre and remets? You can take coals and put it all over, hot burning coals all over your food. No such thing. Shlomo Zalman says, no such thing. You take burning hot coals and put it all over the food. And he said, and even if there would have been such a thing, but that was by coals, But by here, it's not physically possible for them to cover the top. If they would make a crock lid, I don't know what you'd call it, right? The heating element would be a lid also, and it would go down. So the whole thing would burn, it would explode, and whatever. It's not a gay. That's why they don't do it. So for carrot, it's bad thing they're trying to get as much heat as they can in the whole entire matziv. But Akopanim, it doesn't show us that that such a thing would get the heter of atmanim mitzad echad. What do you want? Excuse me, that's not called mutman bekulai. This is mutman bekulai. This is how you're matman bekulai. If you figure out a way to be matman bekulai mamish, you'd be matman bekulai mamish. If this is also matman bekulai, it's a svara. That's right. You understand? That's what I'm saying. Maybe, sure, not If it would be a Gemara or a Rishon, for sure we'd be Makabalit. But to say that that's such a Pashid Svara, say such a Pashid Svara, that was what the Goyin Rishleim Zalman said. I don't know. The Maisa, it's a shver zach to be Machmer on this Shaila. Why? Because again, most of the time it's being done the Chalon for tomorrow. Most of the time it's Michael Ben Yisai. Most of the time it's Mavuchal Kotzarka. So no matter what, B'diavad, it's Mutter Gomer. That's not even a Shaila. Elamai now, you're dining on this new svara, a simple Jew that reads the Mishnah Berurah, he sees it's Magula Lamala Gemara. Are there any other svaras? So Scheinberg Zeichet Tzadik Levracha, I remember that he told me a crockpot is mutter. A crockpot is mutter, and there's no question, there's no pickbook. I mean, he very was Mechaber Shlomo Zalman. He always used to tell me, whenever I used to come back from learning, I'd have shilas through the week, and it's even Shmir Shabbos and whatever. So he'd say to me, "No, and what does Rosh Shlomo Zalman hold?" I always want to know, what does Rosh Shlomo Zalman hold? Because I used to learn Chavrusa with somebody who learned Chavrusa with the Shmir Shabbos Kelchas. So Mamela, he always used to ask, "No, what does Rosh Shlomo Zalman hold?" So he's very mechaber Rosh Shlomo Zalman. But over here, he said he can't understand Rosh Shlomo Zalman. What was his Iker Nimaik? His Iker Nimaik was the Rosh that we mentioned the other day. The Rosh explained, it's not exactly how to learn the Rosh, but the Rosh explained that the only time we say something is atmana is when you take something, after you cook it, kivyachol, and then you go and you matmin it. You go and do a ma'isa atmana to it or something. So then we have to worry about you. But if something is the derech bishul, a continuation of the bishul, that's not derech atmana. Okay, this is a very big chiddush, Rabbi say. Should tell you why it's a big chiddush? Because I just told you a moment ago that hatmana might have the heter of kiddush chaisa. So if hatmana has the heter of kiddush chaisa, that means that there is a derech of cooking with raw foods in the derech of hatmana. It exists, right? So you have to know exactly what the Rosh means. You have to know what the Rosh means before you apply the Rosh. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody say the Rosh. I'm not sure if it's so pashut that's pshat in the Rosh. The Rosh just says like this. The Rosh just says that here we want to know where to put this category of food inside a garif oven. So you want to know, what should I do? Am I afraid that you're going to go and start being matmin? Am I afraid you're going to go and start being matmin? So the Rosh says, listen, this guy already cooked the food in this oven. It's not shaykh for him to be matmin because he can't put it into the ground. That was once far the Rosh says. And he says, and also, this is the malkim where he's mavashal. He's trying to say he's just like finishing the process over here because he's pumped there anyways and the heat is going and whatever. He doesn't show us he's coming to be matmin. It's just pumped like he's just using from the heat that was. It doesn't sound like in the Rosh like this smart that I don't know. It's hard for me to argue on these great guys, but he wanted to say, no, derech bishul and derech hatmana are two separate things, and this thing is called a slow cooker. Rashaim you say it's a slow cooker. So if it's a slow cooker, so then what's it does? This is not a matmin agent. This is a cooker. It's something that cooks. And just you have to have patience, and it cooks from the beginning to the end. It's not but I don't know if that's such a svar. I'm not sure if that's such a svar. I could have heard of Shlomo Zalman. The pshat is that forget you do a way of being matmin it from the beginning all the way till the end, and you show you're very matmin on the heat. So this is a very shver shaila. It's a very shver shaila. There's no shaila that this doesn't, excuse me, even fall into the category of shvigerland. That if your shviger uses it for sure, you don't have to say a word because the ma'isa. I think there's a ganz fine makom to be made kolon not even the chatchila. But Kavan that and if you look Taka and Rav Yashiv, he says, why do you have to be machmir? He says, look, the Pri Megadim was mistapik, right? And look, the Graz Taka says that it needs to have a roiv uncovered. It needs to be not covered by roiv. So, So he was chayshish for those shitas. I told you the Mishabur is not like that. The Chayodim is not like that. And certainly the Ramah, the certain simple pshat in the Ramah is not like that. Sfardim l'chari have to be machmir. Sfardim can't be used a crackpot. Sfardim can't use a crackpot. Derech agav, Rabbi say, what do you gain by putting a tuna can in? What do you gain? How much is the tuna can lifted off the ground? Like 2 inches. You don't gain the prima gadam, do you? What? Oh, you mean because maybe you don't need roiv. Okay, but you don't gain the grass. And they say Rabbi Yashiv held the tuna can also. So it's a big mistake. It's a big mistake. When you put the tuna can in, what happens is it lifts it, and now it's not samud, it's not connected, it's no longer atman at all. Till now, it's very close to the wall. Somebody wanted to try, they asked Rosh Hashanah, hey, maybe it's anyways not touching the wall. Doesn't mommy touch the wall? Rosh Hashanah said, that's called touching the wall because they have to do that in order that it shouldn't burn or whatever. Which is the chiddush, but that's what Rosh Hashanah said. But now when you put the tuna can in, what happens? It lifts up, and then in essence, it's no longer connected. Now, what's an afkamina? Afkamina, somebody told me, I never saw it. Somebody told me in America, they sell 3/4 crock pots. Anybody ever see this? Well, I never saw it. Somebody told me they sell like 3/4 crock pots, and there, taka, people think that's enough according to Rosh Hashanah. That's not true. It's absolutely not true because it's mamish around the wall mamish. And for carrot, the whole reason what we left it out is that it shouldn't be against the wall. But you still have, according to Shlomo Zalman, a problem. You have 2/3 surrounded or 3/4, whatever it is. And it's still a problem according to Shlomo Zalman. What? And the elemental, you mean it's not as bad. It sticks out. The way the person described it to me is, what? No, that's a different type. That's a different type. But somebody told me that they have one that has, walls until halfway, walls until 2/3. That's what someone described it. That's what you're talking about. Yeah, that's a 3/4, something like that. So it won't work. Don't think that's I'll buy that and then I don't have to invest in tuna cans. It's not true. You still have to buy tuna cans. I'm being asked here. No, Rabbi Grazi, you're a Sephardi. You can't. You b'shum pan b'oifen. For you, it's not very gedola to use a crock pot. You don't mean. Oh, you mean for Ashkenazim? I'm sorry. For Ashkenazim, for J-Dubs, what should they buy? I'm saying, maker then it's mutter. If you want to be machmir, by say you don't have to invest in tuna. You can take little silver foil balls, right? And put them like about yay size and whatever, throw them in, and then the chalent pot will stick up a little bit, and then no longer is it samud to the walls. I say samud in English. It's no longer, tight and attached. It's no longer attached to the walls, right? But Derech Agav, I just remembered when I spoke to Scheinberg about that. It just popped into my head. When I spoke to Scheinberg about the crackpot child, I spoke to him about the urn child. It's just popped into my head right now. But I spoke to him about the urn child, and he told me that the urn about the sweater on the urn, and he told me that he held that if you keep the urn sweater on always, then it becomes one kli. Stop, just remember this now. He becomes one kli. Interesting. But God also said back then, I told him over the Shevet HaLevi Svar, and he told me he doesn't understand the Shevet HaLevi. I remember now he said every single hatmana b'davar moisif hevel. That was the Shevet HaLevi Svar. He said you're putting it there, the sweater. What for? What for? To be shomer the chayim before the fire goes back on. So he told me that that's not going to work. What he said, because every atmana b'davar moisif hevel works like that. How does it work? I'm not sure what he meant. Because it's always being shomer. No, I'm not sure what he meant. Okay, Akopanim. Sorry, Svardim l'chayr could use the tuna can, because once you have the tuna can, so then what happens in an oifen, right? So now it's no longer touching the walls. That's the olamdus. Now you're not touching the walls. Everybody understands what I'm saying? Rabbi Bergman understands what I'm saying. It's not touching the walls. What? I just have to understand what I'm saying. What? Come again? Oh, that we have to talk about stamazay. Why are they allowed to put things onto hot plates and whatever? But that we'll have to see. But anyways, it's not on the floor anymore. So now for sure it's okay. Right, as Svardi wants to buy a crack pot, he could. Just he has to put silver balls in, lift it up. He could do that. Now, by side, that's l'chayra a crack pot. Halacha l'maisa. If you ask me, allowed to use a crack pot? Yes. If you ask me, do you have to? Is it kedai to put in the balls? Yes. And anyways, Rabbi said it's not a gay because we're putting in the balls anyways because it doesn't work the blech by us. Anyways, you should put a blech in. So therefore, it's not nothing changed. Nothing changed. That's how I'll say it. Now, the Maisa, there's one major shaila over here, which that's really what everybody's talking about over here. That's the major shaila over here, and that is kishka in the chalent. Okay, crackpot's clear? Yeah, it's clear. Kishka in the chalent. Kishka in the chalent. No. So what's the din about putting kishka inside the chalent? What do you say? What's the shaila? You wrap up the kishka and you throw it into the chalent on Erev Shabbos. So what's the shaila? What's the shaila? The shaila is that l'chayra, this is the davar moisef hevel surrounding my kishka, okay? And the davar moisef hevel surrounding my kishka is already a problem. You can ask me, how come every potato inside the chalent is not matmana b'davar moisef hevel? You have meat all around the potato, or some people you have potato all around the meat. You know? So the answer is that's no shaila, because that's one food. That's not atmana, it's one food. Here it's clearly not one food. So what are you going to do? Rabbi Khan, what are you going to do? You're going to say, but there's no atmana when it comes to food. Remetz is a cholent is dumi the remetz. If I'm going to come to put something inside hot cholent, I'm going to go now and go and put it onto into remetz and go and stoke a remetz. It's not dumia. So you were mekavin to the chazanish, right? And in Bnei Brak, that is correct. In Bnei Brak, you can take the kishka, and it doesn't matter. There's no crackpot anyway there. Right? And there's no, so, but you can take the kishka and you can dunk it inside the cholent. You can dunk it inside, and I'm going to say a case in a minute that they'll be able to do it. They could always do it, right? They could always do it. Sorry? That's true also. Mm-hmm. Correct? If you have a tuna can, then everybody's like, why shouldn't you do the tuna can? Or whatever, everyone you'll make happy. Why shouldn't you get the sheet of Atmana Mitzad Echad? Why not? It's the easiest chumrah in the world, right? And you make the Chazon Ish happy, and you make all the Rishonim that the Chazon Ish brings happy, make the Shulchan Aruch happy. But you don't think if you make them happy, one day they'll make you happy somehow. What are you talking about? Right? There'll be a Meilitz Yosher for you. So why wouldn't you want that too? So what's the big deal? It's the shtekvel to take a couple, and we have to do it anyways because we explained before that the blech doesn't work otherwise, right? Now the only nafkamina is that the Olam told me that if you take baking paper, and you put it in, it works as a blech, and it does cool it down. So that now you're not going to. Then you're not getting the chumrah v'shalom zalman, right? Because you didn't do my shtickle, right? Okay, everyone understands what I'm talking about. Okay. Now, Lamaisa, what about kishka in the cholent? Right, sorry, Rabbi Gazi, kishka, right? What about taking this kishka and you put it inside the cholent? So there's a lot of svaras here. Again, let's just get to work. You should know that the Shevet HaLevi and the Minchas Yitzchak, they taka aser. And this is negay also, Chacham Gazi, and it's negay also, a few of the svarim here, is the egg in the cholent. You do that, they put the egg in the cholent over there by you. They put the egg inside the cholent. And they mamish swear by God, the Ashkenazim don't do it because we're afraid of salmonella. We're afraid of salmonella. And the Sephardim, they have a gene that blocks them from getting salmonella. Like, they also don't have the Tay-Sach stuff and all that stuff that we have. So, L'maisa, that's how it goes. But you put eggs in the cholent? What? No, you can't put the cooked egg. What do you mean cooked egg? No, cooked egg? What? They put it wrong. Sorry? No, I'm saying it's no, because what happens is that when an egg cooks for a very long time, so then there's little alligators in there and everything, all types of salmonella in there. What? Zugay, man. Well, that's what they said. What, you have eggs in the cholent? Isn't it mentioned? Chaim should mention put in the cholent. Joseph, because the gezenamo. He's saying Maranos. I hear that. That could be. The people that were in the Spanish Inquisition, and they wound up somehow in Buchach, right, or in Barditchev. Balkoponim, right? But Tachlis, so if you want, I want to know what's the din if you put a kishka into the cholent or if you put an egg into the cholent. What? Oh, so the Rav Nissen Karelitz says, I'm not willing to accept the shayla b'chlal on an egg. That's not a discussion, he says. Because he says an egg is mamish one food with the cholent. That's just like another potato in there. The egg is, the egg is just that's one food together with the cholent. That's not, he's not willing to accept any shayla. Kishka, he accepts the shayla. But Reb Nissen, Shevet Levi, and Minchas, I'm saying you're going to think like, come on, people do it. It must be, it's Pashat, it's Mutter, right? But the Minchas Yitzchak is putting kishka and submerging it inside the cholent. I mean kishka, when it's wrapped in its wrapping. I don't mean if you have it as one big food. And the Shevet Levi, he also says it's also. And Shevet Levi says, you're going to tell me that in the Haim they used to do this? He said, that's no shaykhs. They used to wrap it in the neck of a chicken or the skin of a chicken. And they used to eat the whole entire thing with the skins. That's one big food again, right? That's one big food again. Azay is why it's no shaykhs to us. And if most of all is the Aruch HaShulchan says, but first it's aser. So then it's game over, right? Rabbi Samuels, do you know that all the way on top of you there's an Aruch HaShulchan? Do you think that you can get it? We had issues in the past. You think you'll be able to do it? You are a wonderful Jew. Simchas Yisrael, bringt mir the Aruch HaShulchan. So you want to know, is it mutter to put kishka in the chalent wrapped in its, in its silver foil or whatever? So this is a mefurish Aruch HaShulchan. The end. Aruch HaShulchan Simin Reish Nun Ches Sif Gimel. He says, Yesh mishim megamgem al anoshim shebi mois achayif loikhin kli. They take a kli ubetoichei mashke kara. The noisnin es a kli toich kli. A kli in the kli. Malay mayim chamin. He says, we don't have people do whatever they would do. Rak, what we do is like this. Shamanu sheyesh nashim. We have ladies. They take kugel b'toichai. They take a kli im kugel b'toichai kli. V'noisin es hakli. They take this kugel kli and they put it cool on the toichai kedera gedayla shalot chalent. What do you think? You guys? Do you think it's like a new religion? You think it's like a new religion? You think, wow, who came up with this interesting idea of Kishka? Rabbi Hirschhoff, a new religion. No, this is an old story, Rabbi said. The Aruch HaShulchan's ladies in Avardik, they are in Petersburg. They used to take a kli of potato kugel and they used to put it inside the chalint. V'zeat mona gemura ubedovar moisev hevel. Came and checked there b'toich the aser afilu b'bayit yoyim. Game over. In light that you want to say the svar of the Rosh, he goes into that svar again because it was in the oven already. But that there it really applies because it was a garftik oven or whatever. That's a different shus. He see mefurish. It's also so really there's nothing left to discuss. So Rabbi March, we should just leave and forget it, no? Because it's mefurish in the Aruch HaShulchan. The Shevet Levi says it's aser. The Minchas Yitzchak says it's aser, and the Aruch HaShulchan says it's aser. So it is aser. What? Oh, so now you just have to figure out like what's going on over here, right? So, and again, maybe you'll say the pshat is food, but that doesn't go over here because that was the Chazon Ish's svar, right? And you see that we don't hold like that, right? So there's lots of svars. I'll tell you, there are lots of svars. I saw in the Shraga Meyer, right? That's not me. That's in Dalit Samach Gimel and in the Lahiris Nasan in Zayin Yud Beis. They say interesting svars. The Shraga Meyer says, he says, this is the derech bishul, it's not derech atmana. They cook it together. That's a derech bishul. It's not derech hatmana. I told you, you need a license to use that svar. I don't fully understand that svar, like we spoke about before. I mean, there's lots of hatmana that's done derech bishul. Like I said, the whole cholent. Then what's the whole shaila about the crackpot? What's the whole right? I mean, I don't know. The Lahiris Nasan, he says, nah, it doesn't have a shame of a kli. Silver foil doesn't have a shame of a kli. So it's all one big oichel. Why in Hilchas Atmano do I need something to have a shame of a kli? So Moshe for sure didn't go like that. I'm saying, why not? I mean, who needs a din kli, exeris a cause of kli? Like, and he brings rayas from Tum of Atayr. He brings a raya from Taisus and Brachas that a kli, when it's on the karka, so then it's bottled to the karka klape. If you have a sefer in a kli, you have a sefer in a bag and it's on the floor, so then it's bottled to the floor unless it's a teflon, because it doesn't have a shame of a kli if it's mamish touching of the. This is remet, Rabbi said. Here's do me the remet. What shaykhs? You're telling me that if you'd have kishka, you're telling me if you have kishka in a silver foil wrapped in remets, you're telling me it's not a problem? Are you talking? Not. It's hard for me to understand that. It's hard for me to understand that. It's hard to understand that. What? I saw another svar. I saw a svar. He brings down one of them. They bring down svars. One svar is that, well, if you're putting it on the chalent, and the chalent is on a blech, let's say, right? So whatever the blech is mattering the shihiyah is also going to matter that mana. I don't even know if. No, he's saying like for sure you're not going to stoke because you put a blech down, so the blech is going to make you not stoke, right? So mela, like nigu that it works for the shihiyah, it's going to work for that mana. What? Come again? Yeah, that's what he's saying. Anytime that you have Shiur and Atmana together, so he's saying Manashach, I'd comment that it's taka not work. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. In the Shvitz Yitzvah, he brings down that Shlomo Zalman said it's mutter because it's like two pots. So it's two pots on the fire. You have one pot is the cholet, one pot is the kishka. They're both on the fire. So the fire is going to her, the fire is going to him, right? I mean, the Aruch HaShulchan before is not like that, right? The Aruch HaShulchan before is not like that. Whatever you want to argue or not argue, but Aruch HaShulchan is not like that, right? Done. So, Maisa, if I had to answer this question, and then I saw one sefer, he says, no, the reason why you have the silver foil is just that the kishka shouldn't fall apart. That's very nice. I agree with that. He's right. That's not our shayla. Right. That's not our shayla. Our shayla was not why is the silver foil not the matmin. Our shayla was why is the meat not the matmin, and therefore the meat is the remetz. That's just a total mistake. That's a total mistake. Right? That's why I'm trying not to say names here. If I had to answer this question, which is a pella, that this is the all these great gedolim, right? The teretz, why is it? Rabbi said, if I take kishka, right, and I take a kishka and I wrap it in silver foil and I put it on my cholent, I don't mean on top of my pot. We spoke the other day to put the kishka in a wrapped kishka or potato cocoa or whatever on the cholent pot. So that we saw the other day, we're mako. Why are we mako? We saw svaras, maybe because silver foil is the outside kli, you're entitled to one kli. Maybe we saw because silver foil is ointment for everything. I'm talking even when your kavanah is for heat. We saw anyways, azay vait will be mako because you can't dunk it inside of the hot. But okay, so we're mako. Now let's go down a floor. That was the top floor. Now let's go under the lid. Open up the lid, put the potato cocoa or the kishka on the top of the cholent. Don't submerge her. Don't submerge her. Put it on top. Is that going to be mutter? Why not? Why not? I don't know. Why not? What? Yeah, no. I mean, you did it on Erev Shabbos. You did it on Erev Shabbos. Is that going to be mutter? What? Wrapped it in silver foil. I did it for heat, but I wrapped it in silver foil to give me heat. Is that mutter? Why not? I mean, the silver foil we said is not a problem. The heat together with the silver foil we said is not a problem. It's not a problem. Why'd you throw it into the pot? Oh, that's a good question. Why did I throw it into the pot? Does anybody know the answer to that question? Why did I put it into the pot? So Rabbi Josephic, right? A world-class eater, can hear, right? Like it looks like it, right? Yeah. At least half of him looks like it. Where's the other half? Left him, I don't know. But a world-class eater, he says, you know what? I'm not submerged yet, Rabbi Isai. I'm not submerged yet. Why do I take that piece of potato kugel or that piece of kishka and I put him on the top of the cholent under the lid? You know why? Because I want the taste. So now we're in business. So far, I don't have anything about Tzmana. I don't have anything about Tzmana. Now watch this. Right? When I take that thing and now I submerge her, right? So why am I doing that? For the heat, I'm not doing it. I'm doing it for the heat of the potato of the cholent. It's not why I'm doing it. It's basically the same thing. But Rabbi Josephic is one level of eater. But then you get a guy who has a Kanai Nahara bike, and you ask him, no, he doesn't suffice with it. Look at him. You see, he puts it on top because he wants just to taste the masha. Some people, they want the taste of tacharangein, right? So they put it on top, underneath, in the bottom, upside down, right? They submerge it. But why is he doing it? He's doing it for the taste. If he's doing it for the taste, so then that's atmana. The davar ma'aseh hevel shaloi lekavanas atmana. That's atmana kavanas what? Taste. Huh? So then it's mutter. Right? Come again, just one moment. Then it's mutter. And this is why I don't understand. I saw some svarim, they write like this. They write that you have to put holes in the silver foil. Right? Why? Rabbi said, does the taste go through with the silver foil? I think so. Otherwise, that's why they do it, right? I think that's why they do it, right? So then, you don't have to put the same reason he didn't put why didn't you put the holes in, Rabbi Josephic, the expert eater over here? Why did you not put the holes in? Because that was enough taste, I guess, right? So now you have to put the holes in to make more taste. I mean, once you're going with this svara, so then it's mutter. Elamai. No, you want to say a new svar. You want to say like, I told you, there's another svar out there that I saw, maybe I didn't tell you, that they say, it's one food. What? So Manashach, if it doesn't have holes and it's not, now that it has a hole, it's still oimid mubal parts. It's still not one food, right? I don't hear it so much. What? Oh, so nafkamina is like this. So listen closely. Everyone understands what I'm saying basically? Everybody's like, why are you allowed to put the kishka and submerge it Erev Shabbos into the chalent? The answer is not because it's one food, it's not one food. Not because it doesn't have a shame kli, who cares, who needs a shame kli, right? Not because, I don't know, what were the other stories we said over here? Not because it's, not because Derek Bishel and all these things, right? The answer is very simple. The answer is because you're doing it for taste. Hatmana b'davar moisef hevel shaloi lekavanas hatmana is mutter, and I'm doing it for the taste. What? Sorry? I don't want the heat. I don't want the heat from the meat. I don't want the heat from the meat. I want the heat from the meat. I don't want the heat from the meat. I want the heat from the fire. I'm not doing it. I just want the fire. And the fire is enough for me. The fire is enough for me. It's not true. The fire is enough for me. I don't want the heat. You're going to ask the Aruch HaShulchan? Now explain to me why there's no kasha from the Aruch HaShulchan at all. The Aruch HaShulchan was talking about a real kli, right? I saw one sefer, he writes, don't say that the Aruch HaShulchan is talking about a real kli, because then why was he doing it? Obviously, he was doing it because blias went through, he writes, right? But I have a Muna Shleim and Yeridea that blias go through and whatever. But Achmein, when you taste the kishka, and it was inside a pashit pot, and that pot was inside the kugel. And that, so why was he really doing it? I'll tell you why he was doing it. Because in those days, everybody said the oven was off. So for carrot, the thing that cooked on the fire was takahader now. The cholent was a boiling hot cholent. And now the fire is off. They were goyrif, remember? They were goyrif, they did real grifa. They shoveled it out of there. And now you took the potato kugel inside the kli and you put it in there and it just stopped boiling hot. It was boiling hot. That's why they did it. But it wasn't giving time. So of course the Aruch HaShulchan is atzer. And of course, if you come and tell me I hermetically seal my kishka and I dunk it into the cholent, so besides the fact that you're not normal, but lamaisa, right? And a chanami, then taka, that's a problem. That's called navel pastrami in English, right? And that might be an issue. We'll have to see, because not getting the taste, that might be a problem. That taka might be a problem, right? But I'll just tell you one thing. What's the nafkamina? Nafkamina is like this. I saw that they bring down, like I told you, it was a Shvis Yitzchak, others, they bring down that maybe it becomes one tafshel. Maybe silver foil doesn't block. I told you that's far, and this is one tafshel. So the nafkamina is like this. According to what I'm saying, are you allowed to take a kishka on Shabbos? Okay, on Shabbos. And let's say this kishka you want to take on, you forgot to, it's previously cooked. The previously cooked kishka, okay, that's not the issue. But you forgot to put it in on Shabbos, on Erev Shabbos. And now you want to have kishka at Shabbos lunch. So you take the cholent off of the fire, take it off the fire. Now it's a kli rishon, but ain't bishul achar bishul, okay? You take the kishka off, it's not on the fire, and you dunk it into the cholent. You take the kishka and you dunk it into the cholent. And you let it get hot. So there, why are you doing it? There, why are you doing it? There you want the heat. There, my star is not going to work. There you for sure want the heat. Then for sure you got a problem, right? If you learn like the other star that we've been saying, that now silver foil doesn't really black and it becomes one food. So you could do it on Shabbos too, as long as it's off the fire, right? That's why I don't think you should be allowed to do. The only thing I think that you're allowed to do is to take the kishka and to put it in before Shabbos and to dunk it in. And the Mitzvah Hashem, we finished Atmana officially, and tomorrow we'll hack. Tomorrow we'll hack. You know this ain't basic measures below Chiddush, but now you have a lot of work to do. You heard a lot today. Today you heard a lot. You heard about crackpots. You have to talk about navel pastrami. You heard about the kishka, about the baby bottle. This is the ikar as far as in Atmana. You have a lot of work to do, everybody. And then tomorrow we have to finish position. You can hack in too, Victor. Don't worry. Shlomi, be careful. There's something growing on your face. Silverman, be careful. Something is really growing on your face. This is the only thing growing on my face. Rabbi Siegel, I'm seeing you tomorrow. Oh, it's very exciting.